Hey, everyone, this is the Vermont Committee on Commerce and Economic, House Committee on Commerce and Economic Development. Again, it's January 21st, 2025 at 3:15 in the afternoon. And we're back from a joint hearing with House and Senate Education Committees, and we're going to take some, have an introduction to with Wei Wei. Good morning, good afternoon, Wei Wei. Good to see you again. Wei Wei represents Vermont professionals of color. And we're glad to have you here. We have 7 new members to the committee this year. So before you start, I think we'll introduce ourselves to you and then we'll let you take it away.
Great, thank you.
Rob?
Good afternoon, I'm Jonathan Cooper with Ben One, representing Pownell, Reedsboro, Searsburg, Woodford, and Stanford.
Hi, Wei. Emily Karras Duncan, representing Wilmington, Whitingham, and Halifax.
Herb Olson, representing Bristol, Lincoln, Moncton, Starksville.
Hi, Abby Duke, representing part of Berlin.
Hi, Edie Granning, representing Jericho and Underhill and the vice chair of the committee. Good to see you.
Mike Marcotte from Coventry, representing Coventry, Irisburg, Newport Town, Troy J. Westfield, Lowell, and Eden, and chair of the committee.
Kirk White, I represent Bethel, Rochester, Stockbridge, and Hancock, and I'm the ranking member.
Monique Priestley, Bradford, Fairleigh, Westray.
Michael Booton, Berry City.
Tony Nicholas, most of Milton and a little bit of Georgia.
Dave Bosch, Rutland 2, Wallingford, Clarendon, West Rutland, and the bulk of Rutland Town.
Mike, I should also mention that I'm a member of the Vermont Professionals Colors of Network.
Disclosure.
Yeah, no.
Great. Thank you all so much for introducing yourselves. Should I start?
And
Oh, I'm so sorry.
support member here, committee staff person.
Hi, Wei.
Hi, thank you for communicating with me.
Of course.
All right, should I?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, great. Let me share my screen. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for having me. I am so pleased to be here to talk with all of you today. Wei Wei Wong, she, her pronouns, co-executive director and co-founder of the Vermont Professionals of Color Network. And I'm really happy to be speaking with you and to meet all of the new members today. So just a little bit about the agenda for today. I wanted to present who we are as an organization and what we do. I'm going to be seeing, I think, all of you next Wednesday at a joint presentation about small businesses. And I hope to come back as well to tell you more about what we plan to do in the future. So to start, I just want to give you an idea of who we are as an organization. This is us. We are 6 full-time staff members at this point. We have 1 part-time staff and an intern. We represent all across the state of Vermont. We have someone coming from St. Johnsbury. We have someone who grew up in Bennington County. I grew up in South Burlington myself. So we really, and one of our members, our staff members, actually lives in Thetford right now. So we represent the whole of, or most of the whole of the state of Vermont. And we wanted to make sure that we understood all of Vermont so that we can really serve everybody across the state. The mission of our organization is to advance the social and economic prosperity of the Black, Indigenous, and people of color across our great state. And we do this with our values in mind. So we focus on community, growth, leadership, equity, and service. And this is permeated across of all of the things that we do. I also want to say that we know that some may feel that the term professional is exclusionary, and we are actually working to redefine what professional means. To us, it's any individual dedicated to developing expertise in a skill or craft that contributes to personal growth and or societal improvement. And so we're not just talking about an individual who might lead a bank or might be a lawyer, really talking about the auto mechanic, a stay-at-home mom, folks who are in the trades, as well as in other areas, including the arts. So we want to make sure that everyone is represented. what we do is really around this idea of a house. At the foundation, it is community building through networking, professional and business networking, and also community building events. We want to make sure we're fostering the community through that to reduce the feeling of isolation across the state and to instill a shared understanding of the fact that Vermont is home. We want to make our community feel anchored in this state through shared experiences and also through values. We built the walls around professional, business, and youth development to make sure that we have strong communities all the way into the future. Above all, we believe in supporting the community through advocacy, and that's really around research and data collection so that we know as an organization what the community needs, as well as our own understanding of public policy to make sure that we know how to relay information to our community so that they also know what is going on so that they're engaged civically. Why do we do all of this? Our work is all about access and access to each other, access to resources, access to a sense of place and a desire to give back to the state. So this is a framework that I developed when I was at UVM's Community Development and Applied Economics department. I was in the master's program. I know someone presented from UVM this morning. And this framework is based in public health, but I've adapted it to our work because really in order for there to be economic and social development, there must also be access to resources. And from my perspective, access can be understood as having 6 dimensions: availability of resources, awareness of resources, physical accessibility of resources, affordability of resources, accommodation of the resources of the community by the resources, and acceptability of the resources by the community. And that last point can really be understood as whether a resource is trusted by the community or not. So for example, I'm far more likely to hire an electrician who just graduated from CVCC because I know the quality of their programs and the care that they put into educating their students. So in order for a community to have access, all 6 dimensions must be present. Because if not, if someone's not aware, if someone can't afford a resource, somebody is missing out on the resource at hand. And right now for the community that VTPOC serves, awareness is the most significant issue. Like, I don't need to be a betting person to know that, you know, more than that, just the BIPOC community is losing out because of this awareness issue, because Vermont has a lot of resources. There was recently an event that I went to, and the Department of Labor was talking about an incredible resource that they provide for free, where prospective employees can go for resume checks, for building interviewing skills. All of this is available through the Department of Labor, but it's not talked about. The folks over at the department themselves said it was the best kept secret at the Department of Labor, which is shocking to me because I've been talking about it ever since, so that our workforce can actually access it in order to create a better future for themselves. And so we do a lot, which I will go into more deeply in just a little bit, but I wanted to give you an idea of the fact that we as an organization only really started in 2019 informally. We started as 2 individuals who created a networking event so that more professionals can connect to one another. We only received our 501c3 status in 2021. So a lot of what we have done has only been built up over the last 4 years. And I think we have done an incredible job of creating opportunities for many of the community of color in the state of Vermont. And one thing I'll say too is one of the reasons that we're able to have this opportunity to do the work is because of this committee. In 2022, my co-founder and co-executive director, Tino Riddenhira, and I presented in our organization in front of this committee. And after a lot of work by this committee, we were actually able to get a successful bid through the ACCD for the BIPOC business development contract, which has funded a lot of what I'm about to present to you today. So I will start to go into what we do, our scope of work, a little bit more. And that is really these 5 items: outreach, community building, resource navigation, research and data collection, and workforce and business development. And so outreach, has our focus includes digital, printed, and in-person activities around outreach. It is a statewide effort with the goal of increasing awareness of statewide resources. Part of this, like I said, was funded through the ACTCD contract, and we developed a strategy for outreach that includes digital outreach via social media and our monthly community newsletter, as well as a bi-weekly events newsletter to make sure that people are engaging with us outside of in-person and educational events. We also wanted to make sure that we have a strong connection to the various regions of Vermont. And so we started off, because you can't get there from here, we wanted to focus on one region at a time to make sure we had a strong foothold. And we started with the Northeast because Mimi, our outreach and member coordinator, is actually from St. Johnsbury, and we felt that we had a strong connection with some of the businesses there already. So Mimi, over the last year and a half, has really been setting the groundwork to understand how the Northeast communities operate, how they communicate. And we have received over this last year supplemental funding through the USDA Rural Development to create more outreach opportunities for networking events that I'll talk about in a little bit, as well as business technical assistance for businesses in this area. So in total, we have done 13 outreach events alone. That's not including our community and networking events. So 13 events over the last year and a half, just tabling at various events, making sure that people are aware of what the resources are, what we can do as an organization to help them connect. And it's important for us to connect to these folks because at the heart, like I said, community is everything. Since 2023, since we started this contract, we've held 34 community-based events. And this, excuse me, may show up as virtual or in person. A lot of times, especially in the depth of winter, folks don't necessarily want to get out of their houses. So we want to make sure to have those virtual events as well. One of our most popular events is the Co-work and Chill. And that is where we go to a coffee shop at a rural community, invite our members from that area so that they can connect with each other. And this is mostly for remote workers, folks who are working from home and just want to have an opportunity to connect to one another because of that feeling of isolation. And so we've held these events in the Upper Valley, in the Northeast Kingdom, all across central Vermont, as well as Chittenden County, and been working to hold other events like this in southern parts of Vermont. And the photo that you see in front of you right now is actually a rock climbing event at Petroglyphs in Burlington. These events are really to get people outside and to build community even outside of working hours so that there's a sense of fun with what we're doing. Another part of what we do is resource navigation. This is really tied to business technical assistance, which I'll talk about in a little bit as well. So one of the biggest issues here in the state is that there are a lot of resources and it's hard to know what resource is right for the individual. So as community members come to our organization, we take an assessment of what it is that they need. If it's a business individual, we try to understand where they are in the stage of business development and connect them with either the right lending partner or the right resource partner. If it's an individual, sometimes we'll connect them with the right business where they might have the best chance for career development. Right here, what you see, this photo, is an event that we do with CVOEO, the US SBA, and also partner with the Treasurer's Office called Lunch with Lenders. We've been doing this for 3 years. This year's our third year. And this photo is from February of 2024. We brought over 100 immigrant, refugee, and BIPOC identified business owners to Winooski at the O'Brien Center, and we connected them to lending institutions because they're all wanting to start a business. And so these lenders circulate and talk about the various lending products that they have. And it's a great opportunity to see the range of business owners and their needs, as well as for these lending institutions to have an idea to be able to connect face to face to really start to build that trust. If you're coming to us, if you're seeing us where we're at, then we're more likely to come to you as a lending institution to then talk about the products at another day and time. And we know that there have been businesses that have successfully received business loans from these institutions as a result of these events. So if anyone is interested, our next event for this year is February 8th at Winooski High School from 9 to 4 p.m. And we're really excited because we anticipate having 200 people this time. Our first event in 2023 attracted 25, and last year we attracted 100 people. So a really successful event. Something else that we do more in terms of the community and also folks moving to the state, we have a resource called the VT Pocket Guide. And this is a resource that selects certain, focuses on different regions and talks about where can people go shopping. If I'm coming from Atlanta, Georgia, or Dallas, Texas, I'm not going to find a Hannaford's there. It's going to be a Publix or a Piggly Wiggly or something like that. And so where am I supposed to go shopping when I move to the state of Vermont? So this resource, VT Pocket Guide, is something that everyone can access. And I'm happy to share a link with you all after to make sure that people feel like they can navigate across the state. What are the things that we can do? I remember, so I grew up in the state of Vermont. I don't think I climbed Mount Mansfield until I was about 22, 24, because I didn't have access to it. So we're just trying to build the knowledge, build the awareness of folks across the state so that they can enjoy the state to feel more anchored. Research and data collection, like I said, is a really big part of what we do. In 2022, we collected data on small businesses across the state along with Main Street Alliance. I know some of the members who have been here in the past already know about this. It's really just trying to understand what the business environment is like for BIPOC, women, veteran, rural-owned businesses. And some of the things that we found was really the survey, actually, sorry. We conducted a survey and also listening sessions for this report. We collected 498 responses from business owners, and VTPOC alone conducted 21 listening sessions. So some of the things that we found, the BIPOC business community, the challenges that they face are not dissimilar to any other business. It's a lack of capital. It's a lack of information about where to get resources. They have challenges around financial resources, credit, assets, collateral, family assets. But what we also found is that BIPOC business owners want to be here in the state. They want to operate in the state as a business. They find that they want to make Vermont home, and Vermont gives them the opportunity to achieve more than they could in other parts of the country. So we wanted to really focus on that positive piece of it, while also really impressing upon the fact that a lot of BIPOC businesses don't come from generational wealth. They don't have family assets to draw from. And so how can we as an organization, working with our partners, working with the state, make it more possible for these small businesses to thrive into the future? We also have been collecting data over the last year. So in the summer, we collected 685 complete responses from the BIPOC community. And that survey was then informing our listening sessions, and we conducted 11 listening sessions across the state by region this fall. So I'm hoping to come back to report out what our findings are. So hopefully in a couple of weeks, I'll be able to come back and share that information with you, at least the start of our findings. And I've already talked a little bit about workforce and business development. So what we're talking about here is making sure that people are connected to the career and business development opportunities that many people already maybe have access to. For the BIPOC business community, it's really that resource navigation piece that I'm talking about, as well as connecting them to grant and loan opportunities. We've worked with Vermont Community Loan Fund on their Justice Forward loan program, making sure that people have technical assistance, making sure that they know all of the different nuances of the loans. So there are a lot of partnerships that we've created in order to support the businesses that we are serving. And to date, since May of 2023, when we received the ACCD contract, we have supported 71 businesses, and a lot of them are coming back to us. They might have completed with us like the initial ask, and then they come back to us again saying, hey, now that I have my business started, can you help us so that our staff can get connected to Vermont Health Connect and get health insurance because we can't currently provide it? Or they might say, hey, now that I've set up my nonprofit, I'd like to go for this grant. Can you help me go through this and see what we can possibly get, or to look at RFP? So these are the things that we're helping in terms of business development. We're also helping businesses connect to one another. The photo that you see is a business networking event that we held in St. Johnsbury just this past December. 30 BIPOC and allied business owners showed up. And this was just to connect and make sure that we were seeing each other. And this event was supported by ACCD Business Development Contract, as well as the USDA Rural Development. We also provide educational workshops. We're currently working with the Vermont Small Business Law Center. On a monthly basis, we have a legal webinars workshop specifically for small businesses. And this is a place where folks can learn about what goes into a contract. What about data privacy should I know as a small business owner? We just had one last week around artificial intelligence and intellectual property. What does that mean for small businesses as they are starting to use AI for their business? What do they need to watch out for? What do they need to watch out for in contracts as well? So these are the opportunities, and all of this is based on, these educational sessions are based on what we have learned through the research and data collection. We've also supported 16 business and professional networking events, held 20 educational workshops, and we also supported 20 professionals in this time. So those are more in-depth, whether it's resume reviewing or finding a job. So we are putting a lot of one-on-one time into these opportunities. Something I also wanted to mention is Newcomer Nexus. This is not a program that is funded through the state contract, but it's a program that we've created for business owners to connect, to make sure that as they're hiring, they're in the hiring process and they have identified a BIPOC candidate or a BIPOC candidate with a trailing spouse who might be BIPOC identified, that we can connect with them as an organization and let them know, what does it actually mean to be BIPOC in the state of Vermont? How do you navigate the state as someone who's coming from California or even Minnesota? What are the challenges? What are the opportunities? And hopefully this is a great way for those individuals to learn, okay, this is a place where I have an anchor community that I can feel seen. And if those individuals are hired, we pair them with an ambassador for 3 to 6 months to make sure that they're connecting with community outside of work, because we know that businesses, their responsibility is when the person is on the job. We want to make sure that they're feeling seen and held outside of the job. So these are some of the opportunities that we have to offer. So that's most of my presentation. I do want to share more with you in the future, especially as we start to analyze the data that we've collected. Hopefully I'll be able to come back, but I would love to take a moment to take any questions that the committee has right now, and happy to go back in the slides as needed.
Great, thank you. It's just amazing how in just a few short years, how far you've come.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we've really appreciated the support from this committee, especially. Without it, I mentioned the 71 businesses that we've supported. A lot of them were across the businesses that experienced flooding in 2023. So we're really fortunate that we were able to have that financial support so that we could, in that moment, support these businesses. And since then, that number has just blossomed because we've got folks who word of mouth hear about the services that we offer, especially when it comes to helping them navigate through the different nuanced organizations that are on support. We do a lot of the research for them so that they don't have to as busy business owners. And that has been really wonderful to see folks expand and scale.
I think for most of you, I think the only one that was here with me was Kirk. But during COVID, when we were putting, millions and millions of dollars out, the Agency of Commerce had no idea where our BIPOC businesses were. Didn't know how to go about it. And I think that's where this all developed. And we saw this huge need of understanding where that our business community was. We needed all businesses to be part of this. And so that's where Weiwei and Tino came in, and it's been a great partnership. And I'm hoping that through you that we're able to break the walls down of mistrust, and so that people are trusting what the government can do to help them succeed. I think all of us want to see every Vermonter succeed.
Yeah. And that's something that we're finding. We've learned a lot over the course of the last 2 years is a lot of people don't know that there are so many incredible state-based and funded resources. And that's actually one of the next steps that we want to take is really working with each state department, because we know that we haven't connected with everybody. And there's so many different opportunities, whether it's Apex or DOL or even Department of Education, to really expand the opportunities of what the community knows and can take advantage of.
That's a quick question. You had mentioned that there's kind of a regional outreach plan. Can you elaborate on that and kind of share what the plans are going forward with it?
Yeah, so we're still in the works of which southern region we're going to approach next. But one of the reasons we did this is because we are a small team and we wanted to make sure that we had a solid foundation in whatever region we were going to be really focusing on, and to dive deep, starting with an outreach strategy. So communicating via digital channels so that people started to hear about us. And then we started to go into the community. So Mimi took a lot of time. Mimi and Aaron Shaw, who's based in East Thetford, took a lot of time to start traveling around the region to connect with individuals, to connect with existing resource organizations so that we knew where the community was and that we can start to hone in on those opportunities for tabling so that people could see us, to get some name recognition, and to start talking about what do we provide, what is our value in the community. And then we started to connect with folks through events, creating events like the December 2nd events. And we're going to be doing a lot more of that, and supporting individuals who are already there. So we might be offering outreach support if they're hosting an event. I know that Farmer Amma over in Hyde Park often has events, and we often share about her events. So a lot of it is it's a long-term strategy, making sure that we are connected there and we're connecting with the right individuals to expand our reach. So the next step, because our findings in the Northeast, it was really interesting because of the way that communication happens. Not a lot of people use Front Porch Forum. There are a lot of local network listservs, et cetera. So we want to make sure to understand what that looks like. So as we start to build a deeper connection to the Northeast, we're starting to look south, and we're looking at Rutland, Bennington, and Wyndham, Windsor, and seeing where can we really put our efforts next. And again, that's going to start with digital outreach first, making sure we're connecting with partners. We already have a strong connection with BDCC, and as well as this Roots Social Justice Center and other organizations in the Brattleboro area. So we might approach that area next. We also have a deep connection in Rutland County and Bennington County. So wherever we go next, it's going to be that outreach strategy, and then building partnered events, and then to have affinity spaces as well. And then providing business technical assistance, professional development assistance as needed. I hope that answers your question a little bit.
Yeah, thank you.
Questions for Wayway? John?
As I recall, there's an awful lot of work that goes on, both with established businesses, new entries to the marketplace. Have you found relationships with existing employers, larger employers that are looking at sort of that you're able to provide some of that assistance of connecting people with their communities or outside of work? Like there's the 9 to 5, and then we have 5 to 9. Do you have sort of established relationships with maybe some larger or more legacy employers around the state in that respect?
We do. We actually work with Vermont Business Roundtable. We work with the various chambers so that we can connect with businesses. One of the services that we provide is to make sure that employers know about us so that they can talk to their employees and make sure that they have those networking opportunities. And that's where our networking events come in, and that's where community building events come in. So that outreach is going out to, and we're also deeply connected with the RDCs. So we're constantly making presentations, making connections with these, with, like you said, legacy institutions, so that their employees know not only their folks who have been there for a long time, but also their newcomers. And that's why we have Newcomer Nexus, so that they can be more deeply connected. Yeah, so that's part of what we do. We also have hosted job fair in the past. That's another way we connect with employers. So I hope that answers your question.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, welcome.
Other questions? Wayway, thank you for joining us this afternoon. I think we're going to see you next week
Yes.
at the Small Business Day. And then we'll certainly have you in again to talk about the data that you've been able to put together. It'd be very interesting to hear that.
Yeah, I'll be excited to present it to all of you. Thank you so much for having me today. My contact information is available in the slide deck that I sent Anna Grace. So, but I'll see all of you in person next Wednesday, bright and early at 9 a.m.
Sounds good.
Great.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Committee, that wraps up today. So tomorrow morning, back again at 9. We're having our security briefing at 9 with Sergeant Barnes and the Chief of the Capitol Police. There could be a motion to go in executive session because sensitive information that will be discussed with us that couldn't be out in the public. So it won't be live streamed. And we probably lock the door so others can't come. To give you that heads up. Any questions before we sign off? Okay, we'll see you.